The 2023 Paris-Roubaix race has just finished. Matthew Vanderbilt has won the fastest ever recorded Paris-Roubaix race over the 120 years of the race been running. Congratulations to him, but there is something in this race that has stuck out and people have been talking to me about. They have brought it to my attention. I told myself I was not going to speak about this because I myself see this not lasting anywhere near what people are assuming it will last. But as you guys can see on my screen here, it is a self-inflating tire pressure that you can change on the fly while racing. It's come with an extreme price tag, and people are sending me DMs, questions, and even customers in my store bring it to my attention. Again, I told myself I did not want to make this video because I feel like this has no place in the cycling world, in road bike, mountain bike, or gravel, but I'll get into that later on in the video. So in today's video, I'm just going to kind of go on a little rant here about this system itself. I am usually, for one, someone who always usually accepts change in the cycling industry. I'm one of the biggest advocates for seeing a company change and do these little minute details and always pushing for more and more. I think that's the only way we can get better. Sometimes they flop. Sometimes they do really well. But in this matter, this to me is just crazy. And I don't even see this on like high-end car races. I don't see this on like high-end motorcycle races. I don't see the need for this at all. It's such a small section of the race. It's really only these two races as is for road biking. And then they add this like crazy self-inflating tire unit to these bicycles, which one add useless weight to the bike, which people are already complaining about bicycle weights in today's 2023 day and age, about how they can't even get it to 6.8 kilos as is. And I think that it's very, 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 very minimal benefit to the rider and a ton of negative things that can go wrong to it with like a high negative risk to it. So, little backstory to it. A team from Team Scott Riders, DSM Riders from riding Scott bikes, and I believe also Jumbo Visma on their Seville bikes, they're running this kind of self-inflating tire. There's two different versions of it. This one right here is called Scope's Wireless Tire Pressure. It's a system that goes on these rear hubs and front hubs. They connect to the valve themselves, and then you can actually inflate or deflate tire pressure as riding. So far as much as 7.3 psi per second, I believe it was. So that way, if you're riding on a flat tarmac that is a pretty smooth road, you can pump it up to get more pressure to have less rolling resistance. Or if you're riding on crazy cobblestones like in the Paris-Roubaix, and you want to make sure your hands are not hurting or your shoulders aren't hurting or whatever the race is going to throw at you, you want to have a little bit smoother of a ride because smoother is faster. You can go ahead and decrease the tire pressure to make it a little bit more comfortable. Now, in theory, I guess you could say it's pretty good. But with advances in today's modern bikes, like let's just take the winner of the Paris-Roubaix, he was riding the Canyon Aero Road, which is, I think, allegedly the new Canyon Aero Road. I mean, they haven't announced yet, but it looks like a new frame design for this Canyon Aero Road CFR. He rode basically a full-blown aero bike for this stage with regular disc brake rims on there, 140 rotors, and just basically 700 by 32C tires with tubeless option on there. Clinchers and all, but this was a full-on aero road race bike with no kind of endurance aspect to it, a slam stem, basically his bike of choosing that he rides on the daily and just outfitted with a 32C tire, which is more than enough capable of being able to perform on the cobblestones. Absolutely more than enough. I mean, you got to think back in the day, maybe even just 5 years ago, they were still running 23s and 25 millimeter tires on there, or maybe riding cyclocross bikes. Now these crazy high-end bikes, like a Cervelo S5, like a Canyon Aero Road, like the Tarmac SL7, like the Trek Madone, they can run up to a 700 by 32C, or even like in this case, a 700 by 35C tire, which is crazy. I mean, we didn't see this before in the past, and back in the day when these people were riding, they were riding even 700 by 19, 700 by 23s. I do think that with this tire being so comfortable and having this much extra traction and this much extra comfort, that's the reason why this race was such a fast race and the fastest of them all in the Paris-Roubaix. I do also think that these massive chainrings he was running, a 54-tooth chainring, we were seeing people run a 56-tooth chainring, these aero bikes, that's definitely taking account of it. They weren't riding these like gimmicky endurance bikes, but this guy's riding a full-fledged aero race bike, and he had a great race and dominated, and that's the reason he won. Whereas on the other hand, you're pushing this other narrative over here. They're like, hey, we need to have a system that you can change your tire pressure on the fly, and this is going to give you the edge, and this is going to make you the best racer out there and it's going to give you the most optimal equipment. I guess in hindsight for racers, it's fine. But when you want to bring it to a mass consumer market to sell it, these systems alone cost $4,000 with the wheels, I believe. So now you're taking something that's almost unnecessary. You have a ton of, I'm assuming, maintenance to do on here as well. You have to worry about changing bearings and worrying about if this system even fails on you, or maybe you get a clogged line or something like that. You're just adding so much more to go wrong to the bike than there already needs to be. People already complain about integration and disc brakes. Look at this hub right here. This is a proprietary hub spoked into your wheel that's going to need maintenance for bearings, for spokes, free hub body. If these lines go bad, let's say you're riding and a stick gets caught in there or tears the line out, then your wheel's trash. Who knows? There's just so much wrong that can happen to it that I feel like it's just not necessary. So that was my main reason why I think on paper, like I said, it was a cool idea, but this is no business being here. The people who are riding this in the Paris-Roubaix, I believe a rider from Team DSM or Jumbo-Visma, I think the best place whoever these teams had was like 10th place, which is pretty good. But again, I think that if they were riding without the system, they would have finished exactly how they finished anyways. You saw none of the top contenders like Mathieu van der Poel, like Wout van Aert, like all the other contenders as well. None of them are riding this gimmicky stuff. This was just more or less for the riders to try it out with. They also have this horrific system that you have to go ahead and zip tie to your stem that looks like a Di2 box from 2009. And then you have these nasty kind of sprint shifter looking things right here with more wires on here to go ahead and negate aerodynamic effects that this company has worked so hard to integrate and make a bike so aero and tuck away these cables. And they're like, hey, let's just throw this system on here. Not only is it stupid ugly and looks like a donkey, it also adds weight. I think it's 300 grams more per wheel on there. So again, we're all complaining about the weight of these integrated bikes and disc brakes, and then like, let's just throw this proprietary 300 gram more system that's $4,000 for a wheel set that you have to probably run maintenance on and everything like that. So that's my take on that. I don't really think that it belongs anywhere in there. I do not think that this will ever return to the Paris-Roubaix or any kind of pro racing again in road cycling. And I don't think this will ever make it to a consumer marketplace at all. I don't see anyone the need for this. If you're living in roads that bad of condition that you're even considering this, I think that you're probably choosing a gravel bike over this at all. So that's my take on that. On the flip side, people are saying, wow, this technology could be cool for mountain biking. This technology could be cool for gravel racing. And again, I'm going to stop you there. If you see this type of system on a mountain bike where you're literally changing your air while riding up and down, one, you're going downhill at super fast speeds. You want to concentrate, everything like that. You don't want to be taking your fingers off there to go ahead and change on your brakes and stuff like that. So you have to move your fingers, or you have to look at your PSI to go ahead and figure all this stuff out. Two, you run the risk of, when riding in mountain bikes, you can see these wires that are going through these air hoses right here that are going to the motor. That are shrink wrapped to there, and that are also attached to the rear hub itself. Again, you hit any kind of branch, you hit any kind of rock, you hit anything to go ahead and malfunction this thing. Then that rider that set this tire pressure maybe super low for a section, now he's stuck at that tire pressure, and that could cost him the whole race. It doesn't make any sense to me. And on the flip side of that, we're already having issues with hookless tires and hookless rims blowing off in road, not really mountain bike, but in road and gravel, where we're seeing hookless rims that are blowing off because of max PSI, 73 PSI. If these systems ever would make it to consumers, you put these on bikes, you got someone who maybe is not paying attention to riding because they're already overinflating while they're at home. They're not paying attention to the riding. They press the button maybe once or twice too many. That blows up to 14 PSI. So instead of you hitting that 73 PSI, you go over to like 83 PSI. And then you cause a tire blow off at high speeds. It makes no sense to me here. And that's my take on it. I hope that I wasn't brutally honest. Actually, I do hope I was brutally honest. But I think it needs to be said. This is something that's way out of touch to the general consumer. I don't think it has any place in the market at all for consumers. I don't think it has any place in the race world as well. Again, MVDP, Mathieu van der Poel was riding a full-on aero bike with 35s and 140 rows front rear. This man was trying to get every bit of speed he could on this race. It showed. He dominated. He was on peak performance. He even said it himself. He did not want to have any of that kind of gimmicky stuff. Even Sagan riding the Specialized Roubaix with mechanical durace. He's going so old school to even probably run something that's more reliable. Why would you want it? He went back from a wireless system to a mechanical system because he wanted to make sure that his shifting was not going to be hindered by electronic failure because of maybe it was too delicate. So why would he go ahead and add a fucking tire pressure changing gauge system on there with massive wires and that? No sense to me. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video. As of right now, they only have the caps, which was on the Team Jumbo Visma, which was already set to this wheel set, the Grava R40 and R44. Again, 4,300 euros, which is stupid crazy for the system. And then you have to wire it. And I don't even know if it's rechargeable or just a battery in there. And then this one, which was the scope on the Team DMS Scott bikes, which again, these will fit on there. I think they're 4,000 for the set with 300 grams per wheel on top of the added shifters, on top of that little junction box in there. Bazura. I don't even know how you fill this thing up afterwards either. Like, can I remove this and then pump up whatever designated air pressure I want there? How does it work for filling tubeless tires? Who knows? Who the hell knows? But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I sure did. And that's some real talk for you guys. Bye.